it had just taken so much of the joy out of eating for me. Every year in recent years, I have set myself the resolution or the goal to eat less meat, but it never sticks. I've also never measured it, and then I've just gone back into my old habits. I would say I am somebody who eats a lot of meat for reasons we will explore. But in terms of reasons why someone might want to reduce the amount of meat that they eat, or like eat a more veggie or vegan diet, the environment, animal welfare, and personal health. Now, I'm going to be completely honest, and some of you may or may not like this, but for me, my primary concern is environment. That's, for me, my main reason why in terms of reducing the amount of meat that I eat. Now, I know some of you'll say, well, if that's your primary concern, you should probably also cut out like cheese and dairy. Yes, I know, but like baby steps for me, please. One thing at a time. As I've said, I've tried to do this many years and never succeeded. So I thought this year has got to be different, and I'm going to set myself a challenge. I'm going to rope Dan in as my husband and the person who lives with me as my accountability buddy, so we're doing it together. That is one tried and tested way to help you reach your goals if you have an accountability buddy. And we set out to be vegetarian for the month of January. And I know this isn't a big deal at all because so many people do Veganuary, and here I am like, I was vegetarian. And as you will see, even then, not all the time, but everything is relative. If you're looking for a video where someone becomes like a reformed vegetarian or a reformed vegan after like 1 month of Veganuary, where they're like, that was actually really easy and now I'm a vegan forever, this is not that video. I'm just gonna lower your expectations right now, because also when it comes to food, it is very personal and incredibly political. So let's just be nice in the comments, please. So I have some goals I set at the beginning of January in terms of why I am doing this and why it has to be like a challenge and a month situation. I'm gonna say off the bat, one of my goals is not to become vegetarian permanently, because I just have to be realistic for myself. That will kind of become clear throughout the video. But I did want to challenge myself, step out of my comfort zone in terms of foods that I eat and recipes that I cook. I wanted to expand my horizons and add some more vegetarian meals, maybe even vegan meals and food options to my repertoire. One of my big goals for this was to make eating less meat sustainable for me long term. So yes, we're like tackling this in like a 1 month burst challenge, but then the idea is that continuing forwards, the groundwork that I've laid this month will help it be more sustainable long term for me and the planet. So with that in mind, the plan isn't to go full cold turkey, for lack of a better phrase, on meat and then on the 1st of February, just back to business as usual. The aim of the game is not purity, it is longevity. So I have some rules, and I'm taking a half-assed approach. Thank you to my friend Lena for the half-assed human idea framework, if we will. So I can't buy or make anything with meat in it for myself. And the reason that is the rule is because if Rowan, my toddler, has meat or fish or whatever in his meal, and there are leftovers, I'm allowed to help myself to that, because we do not like food waste here. And that's it. That's kind of the main rule. But again, we're not striving for perfection here, because I may have broken the one rule. Okay, so I want to chat with you about how the month went, some winners in terms of food and meals, things that I was kind of just like neutral about, and then some losers. And then I also just want to talk about some of the personal challenges that I felt during the month, especially relating to my chronic illness and my stoma, and how that all intersects with my diet and my taste and general relationship to food. If you need to skip this video because you are not in a place to be thinking about food in whatever way, then feel free to skip this. There isn't really going to be much chat about what is healthy and what is unhealthy food. That is not the focus of this video. There's also going to be no mentioning of calories or weight, just so you understand what you may or not be getting in for. But before we get into all that, at the beginning of the month, I filmed some of my predictions, and this is that. Right, hello, it's the beginning of January, and I have some predictions about how this month is going to go in terms of my vegetarianism. This is how I think this month is going to go. It's going to be hard for me personally. I'm not saying it is hard to be vegetarian for a whole month. I'm just saying that I'm going to find it hard. I also predict that I will be hungry quite a bit, or maybe like it will take me a while to figure out how to eat so that I'm not constantly hungry. Because I enjoy vegetarian meals less than I do meat ones, and when I'm eating a meal that I enjoy, I tend to eat lots of it, and if I don't like what I'm eating, I'll eat less of it. So I am not very good at just eating until I'm full, no matter what it is I'm eating. If I'm eating something that I like, I will eat beyond the point of feeling full. If I don't like what I'm eating, then my body will like feel full before it actually is full, and I just won't want to continue eating, and then I'll get hungry again relatively soon after. In order to combat this, I predict that I will be eating a lot of carbs. However, I don't really know much about nutrition, but I have a funny feeling that I'll think that that will be filling me up, but it will in fact not, and I need to figure out what other things contain protein. Eggs, lentils, well, I could have lots of baked beans. Anyway, I'm gonna miss meat. That's another prediction. I just will. Okay, I'm gonna miss meat. We're only a few days in and I already am missing meat. I also predict that at some point during this month I will accidentally eat meat. And I'm forgiving myself now. I think at some point I will just forget that this is a thing that I'm doing, and I will be somewhere and there will be like food out and I will just eat the meat thing. That's just something that's gonna happen. I'm calling it now. And then I also predict that I will really struggle to find something to eat when eating out. I often find the vegetarian options on menus, I immediately write them off. I'm like, nope, where's my meat stuff? So I think eating out, trying to, eat, whether that's at a restaurant or trying to find a meal deal, I kind of feel like my veggie equivalent to the plain ham sandwiches is probably egg mayo. That's like my next one down that I will tolerate, but we'll see. I will. Also, our Gousto box arrived, and obviously I am ordering all of those meals to be veggie. And whilst they have a huge selection of vegetarian meals, like a lot, I'm just going through them all just like, no. So I also predict that it's going to be hard to kind of, vary it a little bit with what I get from Gousto, because anything that is mushroom first or aubergine first, immediate no. If it's like mushroom incorporated into something, maybe. Mushroom first, aubergine first, no. And that seems to be the majority of vegetarian offerings on Gousto. So anyway, this is what I did get. Baked feta and peri-peri farfalle, which is a pasta with salad. Lovely. All-in-one halloumi souvlaki style salad. Lots of salad. Why? Oven-baked squash and coconut dal with cardamom rice. There we go. Can't wait. So for the most part, I think Hannah at the beginning of the month just knew herself very well, because yes to all of it. But before we get into some of the challenges that I had and questions and all of that, I wanted to start positive. I want to talk about some of the winners. Some of the food that I was like, nom, 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 that was delicious. So we started out the month very enthusiastically, and I think like mentally to give ourselves the motivation and the boost and the positive reinforcement, we set out to cook some vegetarian meals that we know and love. So one of those is this spinach and mushroom lasagna that my friend Haneen made us on a girls' holiday like years ago, and she sent me the recipe and it is delicious. I in fact made this lasagna for me and Dan at the beginning of the month, and then we had friends over for dinner towards the end of the month and I made it again. Big hit, love it. And then the other thing that Dan and I made, which was a lockdown project, and we were like, let's do it again, was some homemade falafel. It is a bit of a mish to make, but this homemade falafel, and I'll leave a link to the recipe that we use in the description, is the best falafel I've ever tasted. And I love falafel, but honestly, like, if you can make the shit at home, it's so fucking good. Jacket potatoes were a big win. Like, I don't know why I ever stopped eating jacket potatoes. Like, they are so delicious, and you can get fun with like lots of different toppings, but obviously like beans and cheese, butter, of course, butter, beans and cheese. I like to squish my mashed potato up in the butter, that essentially it's just mashed potato in a potato skin. That's how buttery and mashed I like mine. Another win was tinned tomato soup, the Heinz one. Now, I used to eat this loads as a child, as a teenager, and again, just like stopped getting it. But those Heinz tinned tomato soups have really helped me through my working from home lunches. Now, how do I eat my tinned tomato soup? I like to eat mine with a buttered bagel, not toasted, just like as is, on the side for dipping. And controversial, Dan thinks I'm a complete weirdo, I like to cut up some tiny blocks of cheddar cheese and put them in the soup, and then they like start to melt, and then occasionally in a mouthful you'll get like a hot melty piece of cheese in your tomato soup. So there's that. Another win was after, again, my friend Lena's book event for Half-Assed Human. We were hungry and we went to Farmer J. I'd never been to a Farmer J before, but I definitely want to go again because I wasn't that hungry when we went in, so I didn't like order that much. But I had their vegan banana and chocolate muffin and it was fucking stunning. It was so good. And I'm always one that is very skeptical about vegan baked goods, but that was an incredible muffin. And then the other winner was something that I actually already knew was a winner and something that we buy anyway, so this wasn't like a swap or anything that we did, but Quorn chicken nuggets. So we get the Quorn chicken nuggets for Rowan, might as well, and then also I love the Quorn like southern fried chicken goujons. I don't know what they're called, but the southern fried chicken ones, the ones that have got like the bready bit on the outside and they're a bit bigger, like they are delicious. And I think I find that the more processed the meat version is, then the more satisfying the like veggie or vegan option is, because it's just like processed versus processed. It's when it gets to like actual like cuts of meat that I think that the veggie or vegan alternatives are an incredible disappointment. But yeah, those are our winners. Sorry to end that on a downer, but those are some of the things I ate this month that I was just like, yum, 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 yum. The thing is that a lot of these things were already on my repertoire. It was just about reintroducing them into like the way that we cook things. Granted, making the lasagna and the falafel is like a hefty task, so it's definitely not one for like a weekday meal, but I could definitely see that being something that we do when we have guests or on the weekend when we have a bit more time and we like bulk cook things for the rest of the week. So these are then things that I felt neutral about. Like, I'm not gonna write home about them. They were fine, they were edible, I ate them. One, sorry Dan, it was your paneer sagaloo. It was good, it was good, it was fine, it was great. I love a sagaloo, I love a paneer curry, it was fine. The reason why it's neutral is because I didn't find myself going towards it in the freezer. Like, because we make lots and then we had portions of it in the freezer, and I just never wanted to eat another portion of it. I kind of was like, what else is there? I don't fancy that again, which is a running theme. So next is maybe the first oopsie, which is some KFC chips and gravy. Now, this for me is delicious. Like, I love this. The reason why I'm putting it neutral is because, context, we made the falafel and the lasagna like very enthusiastically at the beginning of the month, and then we all got ill. And we were very ill for like on and off for lots of January, which makes it really hard to put that kind of effort in and plan meals, and you just want to go to your comfort, easy things. And I was feeling like crap. Dan was on his way home and I was like, get me some fast food. And Dan cheekily got himself and Rowan some chicken and got me some chips and gravy. And then mid-eating it, I had to watch them eat the KFC chicken and I was devastated. Just terrible accountability buddy, clearly. But partway through eating mine, we were both like, hang on, is the KFC gravy vegetarian? I don't know. I could probably look it up. KFC gravy vegetarian. No, KFC, well, this is the Google AI. Cora also says it isn't vegetarian. Well, there you go. The KFC gravy is not vegetarian, and that's why it tastes so good. Okay, never mind. Right, I also felt kind of neutral. This was one of my friend Lena's recommendations when I told her I was trying to eat less meat. She sent me some of her like meat alternative faves, and one of them was Richmond's vegan sausages. And I liked them the first time round. I can't remember what we ate them with, like maybe spaghetti or potatoes. I don't know, I can't remember. But I liked them the first time round. I was like, yeah, okay. And then the second time round, I just like felt meh about them, and I actually didn't finish it. I gave like my remaining sausage to Dan because I was just like, this is uninspiring. Again, that is going to be a running theme, but I did not really like them enough to finish my plate. Also felt neutral about this veggie tray bake that I made. A veggie tray bake is a super easy and effective thing to do, especially around kids, because the chopping they can kind of like watch and join in with, and like Rowan, after I chop things, he likes to help then put everything into the tray. Very handy, and like mixing up everything with like oil and salt and pepper and everything. But again, this is one that was yummy, but I just, when there's that many vegetables, I just don't feel compelled to finish my plate. It's like tasty initially, and then I'm like, well, it's not tasty enough to keep going though, because it's just vegetables. Anyway, also fairly neutral about the meatless farm beef mince and the meatless farm meatballs. These were fine. They are nothing to write home about. They are nowhere near as good as actual beef mince or actual meatballs, but they were fine. I wasn't hungry after I finished eating them, but was I satisfied? And then I also feel pretty neutral about a lot of the Gousto meals that we had. Like some were good, but most were like fine. And then some were like, I don't know, yeah, I can't remember what they all were, but the main thing that I remember is because we get a 4-person box, and so we eat 2 portions and then we freeze the rest. I just never wanted to eat seconds. It was just sitting in the freezer and I'd just be like, is there not anything better? I think the pasta dish was really nice. I liked that one I'm remembering. But yeah, neutral, not bad, not amazing. Our losers only have like 2 outright losers in terms of ones that I was just like, bleh, and actually couldn't eat. One was at Farmer J again. So I do want to go back and like try some of the other bits, but I didn't want like a full meal because I wasn't that hungry. So I just got 2 sides, and I got some sweet potato, which was fine, neutral. It wasn't the best sweet potato ever. Could make better at home. But the other was some cauliflower. And this was me like out of my comfort zone. Like I'm not normally like a cauliflower gal unless it's like a cauliflower cheese. But I took one bite of this and it was too peppery. My friend Lucy finished it off for me because she likes peppery things. So that's nothing really against the cauliflower, just the seasoning was not to my taste. I can't deal with too much pepper. I should have known. And then the other loser was this vegan brisket that I had, this food bit that's like off on the side of the National Theatre when I was working there one day, and so I needed to get some food in between shooting and then the show, and I was like, cool, it's Veganuary, so obviously like a lot of places have lots of vegan options on their menu, so I was like, let's try this vegan beef brisket thing. And yeah, the fake meat and the fake cheese was just, I couldn't finish it. Like the texture and the taste was just kind of gross. I did not like. I like tried to push through so that I could eat enough that I wouldn't then be hungry, but I didn't like it. So that's a rundown of some of the winners, losers, and the middle men who, fine, whatever. But now I want to get onto some like specific challenges. The main one being, for me, eating out. Basically, if I knew that I was going to be eating out or that I would need to find some food or something to eat whilst I was out, I just got incredibly anxious. I did not trust that I would be able to find a vegetarian option that I would like or that I could eat without also just like drooling over the meat options that I couldn't choose. And there were a couple of occasions where I was really hungry and in a rush, and I don't have like a list of vegetarian options at like places around central London that I can like quick grab and go and know that I will be satisfied. Obviously, one of the points of doing this challenge was to like find some of those, but I didn't have the most success. So on one of these occasions, I was around Leicester Square and I was starving and I didn't have much time, and I was wandering through Chinatown and I was like, what can I get? What can I find? And I go into this like bao buns place and they have like, you know, like the steamed dumplingy things, and they have one vegan option on the menu, but I'm too nervous. I'm like too anxious of like, what if I don't like it? Then I'm just gonna be hungry. They had an offer that was like 3 buns for however much, and so I got one of the vegan ones and then I got like 2 meat ones as a like safety net, because I don't want to be hungry. Like the main thing when it comes to food is to not be hungry, and then all of the other things can be the important things that come after, but rule number 1 is don't be hungry. And so I ate the vegan one first and I was pleasantly surprised. Like this was a relief, and actually I liked it so much that I will probably, if I am around Chinatown again and I need to grab a quick bite to eat or a snack, then I know that that is there, so that is good. And actually, just one was super filling, and so then I didn't finish the meat ones because the vegan one was really good and I ate it all, and then I just like had a bit of the meat ones and I was like, oh, I'm full. So that one, great. So that, but I did feel a bit guilty because I obviously like bought some meat stuff whilst I was out and about. But this is the thing, I just panic and I feel anxious. I just worry about being hungry. Then mid-Jan, I actually had a last minute work trip to Zurich and I was away just for one night. And work trip, travel, like being in a different city, and then also there was like a group dinner with everyone in the evening and there were big sharing plates. So Zurich was a write-off. I'm just gonna be like, yeah, I ate meat. I ate meat when I was in Zurich and on travel days and stuff, because remember, not striving for perfection, striving for longevity. But I did have a full English breakfast at the airport, and I had a full English breakfast from like the buffet at the hotel the next morning, and they were both a bit crap. Like, I could make a better one at home. So that did feel like a bit of a waste of a cheeky meat meal. And then there was another time back home when again I was rushing between swapping over childcare with dad and meeting my mum to get to a theatre, and I just needed to grab something quick. So I ran into a McDonald's, I think, and the only vegetarian thing I could find on there was like a veggie burger thing, and I was like, yep, I'll get that, let's try that. Oh, there was also like a Beyond Meat vegan burger, but I decided to go for the veggie burger. Big mistake. Big mistake. I'm absolutely starving. I find my mum, I get my burger out, I take one bite and I'm like, oh no, and I have to spit it out because the burger is fucking sweet corn. And this is where we get to my Stoma situation. I can't eat sweet corn, dried fruit or whole nuts because there is a high risk of blockage, which we don't want, because if I get a blockage in my intestine or my stoma, I'm gonna have to go to hospital. And honestly, like, that happened towards the end of the month where I was already feeling very like deflated and unsatisfied with a lot of meals, and also just like struggling to find things that I could eat or wanted to eat, and was constantly feeling hungry. And I just like took one bite out of this burger and had to spit it out. And I was just so sad because I was like, we have to go to the theatre now and I'm starving and I've just bought something that I can't eat. And I honestly was like about to break down. I know it's just a fucking sweet corn veggie burger, but you know when like a lot of things have been going wrong and then also you're hangry and then it's just like one thing that like just tips you over the edge? I was so sad. And then we get to the theatre and I'm like, what food do you have? And she's like, oh, we have some like antipasties. And there was like a meat one and a vegan one. And the vegan one had like crackers and falafel and hummus and olives. And I was like, great, I like all of those things. Perfect, I can have let's go for the vegan one. Like £20. Anyway, so that wasn't a great day, not fun. And then actually on the penultimate day, on the 30th of January, I was out having a work lunch with a friend and I ate meat there too, because I just looked at the menu and I did not like any of the vegetarian options. It was all kind of like aubergine mushroom forward, which is not what I like. So I ordered some meat tacos, which were fucking incredible. It made me so happy. But for good measure, there was one like small plate vegetarian thing that I was like, oh, I might like that, which was like a black bean tostada. But I tried it and I couldn't finish it because it was, one, too spicy, but then also just boring. Like sometimes I can push through the spice if I'm like, oh my God, this is delicious, but it was just boring. And especially in comparison to the tacos, just wasn't cutting it. So this leads me on to something that my mum said to me when I spat out that sweet corn veggie burger in front of her, which is, I'm just not built for this. So when you have a stoma, I've got an ileostomy. The general advice around the kinds of foods that are good for you to eat are low fiber, which essentially means white bread, white pasta, white rice, like carbs, proteins and all of that. And then things that are high in fiber, so your brown breads, your brown rice, and then also like a lot of vegetables. And anything that is high fiber, my body struggles to digest. And we're going to have a little bit of poo talk now, just warning. But anytime I eat something like spinach or mushrooms, which are incredibly high in fiber, I see them coming out my stoma. Like my body cannot break them down. Now, they're not going to necessarily cause blockages as long as I chew it all properly, so I will eat those, like, you know, the spinach and mushroom lasagna that was amazing, but my body is just not built for it. And the reason why I have my ileostomy is because of my ulcerative colitis, which I've had since I was 7 years old. And there is similar diet advice for ulcerative colitis as well. And I've had that since I was a child, and I've always been a relatively fussy eater. I've definitely gotten better with age, like how I can now eat mushroom and tomato in some contexts. But truly, where my heart and my belly lies when it comes to food is meat and 2 veg, is carbs, is protein, is starch, is beige. Like the meals that my toddler eats, chicken nuggets, chips, and peas and beans, fucking get that in me. Love it. Love it. I love eating his leftovers. And there is a part of me that thinks how much of my health and disease has either consciously or subconsciously, in some sort of like mind-body connection way, actually influenced my taste in food. Is that possible, or am I just trying to find excuses for being a fussy eater? But can your autoimmune disease and the fact that you've got part of your gut hanging out off the side of your body, can that actually influence what foods you like? Is it a way of your body signaling to yourself, like, this is what is good for you, this is what's bad for you? I don't know. Sometimes I find it hard to really try and explain my taste in foods and why I struggle to like pick different options off a menu or like things that I want to cook. And so I filmed myself doing my Gousto recipe selection, and kind of like my initial reaction and the thoughts that are going through my head as I'm scrolling through that list of recipes in terms of like, yes, oh, could eat that, or like, absolutely not. I don't know if this is going to help. I don't even know if I need to explain myself, but I thought it would be an interesting exercise. It is time to pick some more recipes for our next Gousto box, and I wanted to do this with you, and I want to show you kind of my reaction to all of the different recipes, meals available, and how I make the decisions that I do, especially when I'm restricted to only veggie meals, because I'm hoping that it helps you understand why I struggle with this. I actually don't know if this will help you understand or if things will remain even more of a mystery. Who knows? Because oftentimes I don't even know how to put into words why I don't like the sound of something, or I like know that that's not something that I will like. But I'm gonna try. So, 200 recipes. Then scroll along. Come on. 57 vegetarian options. Right, let's do this. Okay, baked butternut squash biryani with cultured coconut. We have had this before and it's fine. I like it, but let's see if we can find something different. 1 pot halloumi jambalaya with pepper and peas. Maybe, but it does take 40 minutes to make and it's not prepped in 5, so that's probably too time intensive. Creamy butternut squash and miso gnocchi. I don't like miso, so that's a no. Oven baked 3 cheese billy with jacket potatoes. That's like fine, but boring. Baked ratatouille with goat's cheese. It just fine. It looks dry. It probably wouldn't be dry, but I'm just like not enticed by it. Like whatever. Aubergine and lentil, absolutely not. Cannellini bean shakshuka with feta yogurt. No, I mean, like, maybe I would order a shakshuka in a restaurant, but I don't want to make it at home. Oven-baked halloumi ratatouille with herby rice. There's too many big chunky vegetables in there. Golden halloumi and fruity spinach pilaf. Okay, fruity I think means that there will be raisins in that, which I can't have. Yeah. Oh, chopped dates. No, definitely not, because of my stoma. Brussels sprouts. Don't like Brussels sprouts. Jeweled aubergine, don't like aubergine. Black bean curry with coriander rice and quick pickled chili. Possibly, but again, it just looks boring. Mexican style tortilla soup with sour cream. That one's a maybe for me because I like Mexican flavors. What's in this? Oh, I don't know. Butternut squash and sage with fresh something or other. That must be the pasta type. Maybe. And it takes 10 minutes. Oh yeah, that Mexican one also is a 40-minute, so that's a no. Fruity Moroccan style chickpea stew couscous. Fruity, again, are there raisins? There are sultanas. Nope. Dal makhani and sweet potato baked with broccoli. 45 minutes. No. Nutty 3 veg curry with sesame rice. I can see mushrooms and I can see big spring onions. No. Paneer with rice, maybe. I like paneer. Cheesy bean chili, maybe. Like, I like the look of this one better just because it looks more mushed up. That's where my brain is going. Black beans, red kidney beans, chopped tomatoes. Okay, this one's a maybe and it takes 10 minutes. Good. Curried winter veg soup. I do want to make more soup, but also 40 minutes. It's just gonna be a lot of peeling and chopping, and I don't know if I've got time for that. Cheesy baked veggie enchiladas. 40 minutes again, and it's not prepped in 5. Squash and sage sauce of spinach and ricotta ravioli. Okay, I like the sound of that. But is it too similar to another one that I said I liked the sound of? No. Okay, and that's 10 minutes. Okay, let's just start adding things. The squash, sage, ravioli, and the cheesy bean chili. Okay, we get 3, so I don't need to go the full hog. Let's see what we've got. Haggis spiced veggie, no, it's an hour long. Absolutely not. All-in-one mushroom beef spaghetti, no. Fragrant paneer sag masala with pilau rice, maybe. 35 minutes, pushing it. But what have we got so far? We've got a pasta dish and we've got a beanie tortilla dish. So we could have a rice dish for a bit of variety. Mushroom pasta bake, nope. Loaded meat-free minced chili nachos, no, because we already have a tortilla thing, but maybe I swap that. What's in this? Ooh, this has got meatless farm mince in it. So this is like maybe we try that. Maybe we go with that instead. That's a bit more up my street. Sorry, cheesy bean chili, you're not enough for me. We're doing veggie meat alternatives here. We're making nachos. What have we got? No, I don't want to make a salad. I don't want to make a 40-minute omelette. Veggie cheeseburger rice baked for 50 minutes. No. Warm panzanella salad with mozzarella. Okay, I hear. This salad looks nice because we've got cucumber and olives and croutons I'm seeing. What is panzanella and also mozzarella? I like mozzarella. Mozzarella and potato. Ooh, what is panzanella? What is that? Okay, I like the look of that. Okay, but we get a 4-person box because we freeze the leftovers, and you can't like freeze leftover salad. Like, as much as I want to get this one, I would get this if we just had a 2-person box. But if I'm like thinking that I'm like batch cooking and like, no, I would then have to like, maybe it would work because all I'd have to do is cook the potatoes and I would just separate the cooked bits and the cold salad bits. Let me see, what's the recipe? It is 35 minutes though, that's like my upper end. Right, so we'd cook the potatoes and the onions, and then we would chop everything up, cook the ciabatta, make the salad. Okay, so this is possible, and I would just have it for my lunches the next day, and I could reheat the potatoes and the onions. I'm gonna add it. Then there's tofu. I don't like tofu. Noodles. Mushroom, no. Mushroom, no. 3 cheese veg back pasta bake, like fine, but boring, whatever. Mushroom, no. More tofu, no. Plant-based ratatouille with saffron rice, the aubergine and that. Nope. Yeah. Oven baked spicy black bean tofu, no. Thai style coconut udon noodles with crushed peanuts. I see mushrooms. What the fuck is that? Just some fried halloumi and chips. Okay, yum yum yum. A 1-pot meat-free mince pie. I'd be well tempted by that actually. See, that's the kind of food I like. I want a shepherd's pie. But that, maybe that would be better than the nachos because we could reheat it. No, it's fine. I actually quite like the idea of doing nachos. A plant-based burger, aubergine, absolutely not. Some more tofu, some more mushroom. Just smashed avo on toast. No! Avo pesto. Make your own pesto. Apple crumble inspired cinnamon toast. It's a breakfast meal, I see. Some more mushrooms. So like a meat-free minced Thai style larb. That just means that it's on the salad? I don't know. Some more burger stuff. Mushrooms, no. Mushrooms, no. Mushrooms, no. Another chicken burger. Could be tempted. Some chicken teriyaki rice. But it's 40 minutes. There we go. Well, we did find 3 things in the end, but honestly, it makes me sad looking through this list. Not because there's not a lot on offer, but the crossover of what's on offer and what I would like to eat, plus time constraints. Anyway, let's save that box. No, I don't want any sides. There we go. Done. And then in terms of actually how I liked those meals, the squash and sage sauce with the spinach and ricotta ravioli, that was fine, but I didn't finish my plate. And then same again with the warm panzanella salad with mozzarella, fine, but didn't finish. And then the loaded meat-free mince chili nachos thing, that was yum. And that was actually the meatless farm beef mince. And the next day, instead of doing the nachos again, I just turned it into a delicious burrito. So 1 out of 3. So the other thing that I really found myself struggling with was being in tune and listening to my body. And this I'm just calling, am I hungry, nauseous, or full? Because honestly, for most of this month, I don't know. Like, too often I was feeling uncomfortable and I couldn't pinpoint what the feeling was. I couldn't figure it out. Like, logically, I think I just must have been hungry most of the time, which is ironic considering like what I said earlier about like the main thing is not being hungry. But I honestly just think I confused my brain so much because I couldn't like gravitate normally towards the things that I would go for if I was hungry. And then I don't know if anyone else gets this, but like when you're presented with options, even if it's things that you would normally eat, but if you're just for whatever reason like not in the mood for it in that moment, you're just kind of like, no. And then you're trying to like find something that your body goes, yes. And I could never find something that I could feel my body go, yes, I want that. Yes, put that in me. Like my body was just like reacting very like standoffish to everything that I suggested to it. And so I just was feeling nauseous and hungry and or maybe full, I don't know. And I just rarely felt satisfied with vegetarian meals. I will never be satisfied. No. And this is gonna sound so melodramatic, but it's the truth, which is by the end of the month, I was feeling sad, I was feeling hollow, I was just feeling fed up. I was miserable when it came to food. It had just taken so much of the joy out of eating for me. Like it just felt like a boring chore. And then Dan was fed up too, and we were both just like, oh my God, can't wait till February. This is awful. And this was with a week to go. And so actually what we did to save our sanity, to help us be satisfied and to give us the boost that we needed to get through that last week, it was a Sunday and we went to our local pub and we got a fucking roast dinner and we ate chicken. Because also, I'm sorry, but like the veggie option was a mushroom Wellington. I'm not eating that. I'm telling you now, I won't eat that. I won't like it. Oh, but honestly, we ended up actually not eating dinner that night. We were so full from the roast dinner lunch, but it was just so good. We needed that. We needed it. And I can already hear like people being like, but do you ever need to eat meat? Stop it. I also have that voice in my head, okay? I don't need other people's repeating it. Feel very defensive. What does that say about me? So I wanted to end positively and think about some lessons learned during this month, because obviously I said at the beginning, we're not striving for any sort of purity and perfection, and by no means did we achieve that. I definitely did eat a bit of meat during Jan, definitely nowhere near as much as I would have if we weren't doing this challenge, so let's call that a win. But one of the main lessons I learned was that like if me or Dan, or me and Dan in this case, get ill, we just lose so much capacity for cooking good meals at home, like, or just being able to sustain ourselves and actually eat things that are slightly out of our comfort zone and, you know, not just like gravitate towards like meaty comforts. And I think for me, in terms of continuing to eat less meat, it is about like being prepared and like planning meals, and just like if you're ill or busy or if your child is ill or whatever, it's just like that all just goes out the fucking window. You're just like, we're in survival mode now, especially just like when you have a toddler. It's just, if any one of you gets ill, you're like, man down, fuck, go into emergency mode. And meal planning tends to be the bottom of the list. Other lessons learned, although I don't know if there are lessons learned here, it's more just like problems identified and then I need to figure out the solutions to them. But the fact that I would always think like, what are we going to eat? Like, and just not feel like I was in the mood for any of the fine vegetarian or vegan meals that were like in the freezer, portioned up and ready to go. I was just like, you know, just like, there was just that constant feeling like, whereas put some meat on my plate, bing, I'm happy. So maybe the lesson learned is I do need to like treat meat as a like treat, as a perk to keep me going, to keep morale high, because oh boy, by the end of Jan, morale was low. The other thing that was a surprising, although should I really be surprised, effect of us being mostly vegetarian for a month was we saved money. Most months, Dan and I go over our eating out and takeaway budget, and I'm having to like move stuff around. We just like eating out a lot, and obviously it's expensive. Like eating out has gotten so much more expensive recently. But because for me, I get panicky and anxious when it comes to trying to think about like what non-meat thing off a menu am I going to want and like or can eat, because mushrooms and sweet corn, I'm sorry, but they're really big on vegetarian menus, and aubergine, just that rules a lot out. And so I never really suggested us going out to eat or getting takeaway. We did get one takeaway from this Japanese place that we often get takeaway from, and we just got vegetarian things and it was fine. It didn't hit the same, but we saved money. We saved so much money. I don't think we even like got to half of our usual like budget for eating out and takeaways. So that's something interesting to observe. But going forwards, because again, this isn't a cold turkey and then back to usual habits. I'm trying to take how things have gone this month and then figure out how I can continue in the best way possible, without obviously losing all morale and hope and joy for food in the process. So whenever we do a Gousto box, and we do one usually every 2 weeks, I'm going to pick 1 meat or fish meal and then 2 vegetarian or vegan meals. I still think it's important that the majority are vegetarian and vegan, because that is like important to me in terms of reducing meat. I think it kind of defeats the point if I go 2 meat and 1 veggie. So we're doing 1 meat and 2 veggie. And then I think one thing that will be easy for me is to try and make the vast majority of my work from home lunches vegetarian, like especially with jacket potatoes, with pasta, with soups, with leftovers, you know, if I fancy them in the freezer. Like I think there's enough there that I can, for the most part, be vegetarian working from home lunches. I think eating out is going to be a whole different story, where I'll still like open myself up. I'll still like have a look and see if anything vegetarian takes my fancy. But I think that's where I'll like give myself some grace and just be like, you're gonna have to spend a lot of money. Like even the vegetarian meals are gonna be really expensive. So just order what you want and enjoy it. But I was chatting to Dan about how we should do this moving forwards, and we've decided to do a points mean prizes system. Thanks again to Lena and Half Us Human for that language. Points mean prizes, people. So we say there's 30-ish days in an average month. That is 90-ish meals: breakfast, lunch, dinner. Starting out, and we may reduce this later or move it around depending on how it goes. I wish I'd actually done this system for January, because I think it would be really interesting to have the data, but alas, I did not think to do it for that, because we only came up with this idea at the end. But that's the whole point. This is the lessons learned, and this is how we're going to go forwards. But our goal is to only have 30 meals that have meat or fish in them. So 1/3 meat, 2/3 veggie. That may seem like a lot, and honestly, it was just kind of a random guess because I don't know what my normal ratio is, but I reckon it was much higher. I reckon it could have easily been like 1/3 veggie, 2/3 meat, or even like 3/4 meat, 1/4 veggie. Like that's kind of, I feel like, how much meat I was eating. So it's all about slow improvement. And in order to track this, of course, I've made a Notion template, and actually I've made it public. So if you want to grab it for free, you can do so. There's a link in the description. But let me take you through what this Notion template does. It's so simple. I did not want to faff around with too much details. It is just for ticking off one thing, and you don't have to use this for tracking if you're eating meat or not. You can use it to track like if a meal was vegan or not, or if it was homemade or you ate out or whatever. So this is the template that you'll get. I've obviously written meaty meals here, but you can change that to whatever you want to be tracking. But as you can see, you've got like the days of the month and then breakfast, lunch, dinner. And so the way that I'm going to be using this is if I say have meat for dinner on the 1st, I will tick for that. And then I will, just do it like this, like burp, 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 burp. And then as you can see at the bottom here, it calculates the numbers. How many breakfasts, how many lunches, and how many dinners I ate meat. And then when that month is done, you can drag this into the little archive folder, and then you can just hit start new month, and then it will generate a new one for you. There we go, and there's a new one, and you can pop your month in there. And then of course, depending on which month it is and how many days there are, you can like delete these rows. But yeah, that's how I'm gonna go forwards and check how many meat meals I'm actually eating, and then we'll go from there. But I'm feeling good. I honestly think I did better than I expected, but I was miserable. So that's not a good sign. I want to feel joyous about food. Despite being a fussy eater, I love food. I love eating. I want to continue finding vegetarian or vegan recipes that I can eat and that I like to eat. But I'm also going to give myself the grace of that if I'm hungry and I'm in a rush and I need to grab something whilst out and about, I am allowed to go where I know get something that has meat on it. But if I'm not in a rush and I'm not super hungry, then maybe I could do a little bit more digging and exploring. Thank you for so much for watching and just letting me literal word vomit about my weird eating habits and preferences. If you got this far, it is a long video, then leave a little broccoli emoji in the comments. I also would love to hear from you in the comments. Any vegan or vegetarian recipes that you love that also kind of, fit within my restrictions, and what places, whether they be fast food or like pastry shop or supermarket meal deal vibes, where are the places where you are hungry and you're in a rush and you want to grab something satisfying to eat? Like, where do you go? What do you eat that is vegetarian or vegan? Because I would like to try and add some more ideas to that. But yeah, also at the time of filming this, I'm going on holiday tomorrow for a week, and so holiday is pure pleasure and there'll be lots of eating out. So I feel like I'm going to be ticking off a lot of my meat meals in the next week, which means I'm gonna have to be a lot more veggie for the rest of February. But it is also my birthday month anyway. Thanks again for watching. I hope that you're doing well, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.